Happy afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. It's our first show of the year. We're really excited, and we're going to kick things off with someone who I know has better dance moves than what we just saw there. The new council president for Reynoldsburg, Council President Shanette Strickland. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me on this snowy day. Mm-hmm. Those that know me know that I do not like the snow. It can only snow on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, that's it?
That's it.
So I think we're a little out of the loop on that.
I know, right?
Well, we've got a lot of things in store. Obviously, it's the first show of the year, so we're going to have some cool things that we're going to talk about what happens all year. But first, what I actually wanted to do is, it's kind of a special day here in Reynoldsburg. There's actually a lot of birthdays that have gone on this week. And we have one very specific one. A friend of ours of the show has a birthday, and she's a big fan of the movie Mean Girls. And so on Wednesdays, we wear pink. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and just quickly move that camera around a little bit to our friends and celebrate and say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll pay for that at some point in time. But right now it's a good thing. So we try and have a little bit of fun here, but there's a lot of things going on in Reynoldsburg already. It's it's January 8th. We've already had Snowmageddon Part 1, and we're going to look to see some snow over the next couple of days. But one really cool thing that is going on is going to be our Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast. It is that time again. It is the 4th year of the breakfast, and I guess tell us about your inspiration. Like, what brought this event, and what are you thinking is going to be different about this year's breakfast than other breakfasts, outside of the fact you better not be changing what the breakfast food is?
Right. Well, thank you, Mayor. Again, thank you so much for having me here. I truly appreciate being able to spend some time with you, of course, the staff, and also with our constituents here in Reynoldsburg. This year, this is our 4th year having our Martin Luther King breakfast and scholarship. For our graduating seniors. This whole idea came from me having a conversation with one of our constituents. They were, talking to me and said, why can't we have something here in Reynoldsburg regarding Martin Luther King? And at first I was like, well, okay, let's start thinking about it. How can we start, talking to different leaders that's in our community? And so I took the idea and really started, meeting with different people. Had the opportunity to meet with Pastor John Pierce from Reynoldsburg Community Church. And him and I, we talked, and he said, Shanette, this is something that I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so that's how this really got started. Me having that conversation, speaking with different constituents, getting some ideas from different leaders. And then once I had that conversation with Pastor John, he was on board. And so that's how it really flourished. And what's going to be different? Again, this is our 2nd year giving out 3 scholarships to graduating seniors. And when I think about the work that Dr. Martin Luther King did, it was about the activism that's happening in the community, bringing people together. And that's what I'm hoping this particular event would do. We are bringing the community together. Mm-hmm. Did I say free? Can you spell free? F-R-E-E. And to be able to work with our different sponsors, every year, this is something that they are bought into, to be able to provide this for our constituents.
It's always a good thing, and it's grown. I know the first year that it was talked about, obviously, it was already after the event, and then COVID happened, and then we started, and then it kind of is built out, like a lot of our events that are new over the last few years. They start out like this, and then they grow, and then all of a sudden they get to a point,
Yes.
So that's a huge thing. So in addition to that, like I said, this is your first appearance on the show as council president. So it's a little bit different. At our last meeting, for those of you that took the month of December off, at the last meeting, former Ward 1 representative, Councilwoman Strickland, was actually appointed as president by your peers.
Yes.
Which it's not to say that it's any different, but when you go into the community and they have the faith in you, but also when your colleagues have faith in you to be that new leader, that's got to be a good thing. Why would you want to go from, like, for somebody who's watching, like, well, you're already on council, what, why would you want to go from a ward seat to council president, which kind of oversees a lot of other things?
Right. For me, when I was elected back in 2019, I really took this job and take the job very seriously. People ask me all the time, how is it being a part of council, making decisions? And a lot of times, and I tell people, this is not a 9-to-5 job. You on 24/7, being there for our constituents, being there for our neighbors, trying to make the best decision, right? And so I was always in the community already, and being, a council member, you continue to do the work you were already doing in the community. And one of the reasons why I wanted to move or go and apply or be appointed to the council president role was because we're really talking about leadership at that point. You're making sure that everything, when it comes to agenda, making sure that we have everything we need regarding for us as council members to make really sound decisions, working very closely with the mayor and your staff also. And so making sure that everyone on council have a vote, and also everyone that comes to the chambers have a vote, a voice to be able to speak. And so that's why it was very important to me to be able to apply for this position. And thank you again to my colleagues who voted for me to take on this leadership role.
And now you get to be the one with the agenda. So
I know.
So I know it's a little early, and I know council typically, they had a goal-setting meeting about a year ago and things like that. But do you have anything specific in mind as president that you would like to see, either just like the function of the process or any kind of initiatives or anything, or have you not gotten to that point yet?
So of course I've been here almost every day since being appointed, and again, when I look at this particular role, you want to make sure that you are continuing to build those relationships, being transparent. Where can I actually be able to help our clerk or be able to help our different staff members here? Again, when it comes to just having goals, and again, it's being transparent, making sure that our constituents understand that we are here for them, giving them a voice, and actually speaking up when no one else is speaking up for them. And so that's my goal. I will continue to be in communications with my constituents to making sure that they understand they are being heard. Just recently, I think it was last week, a constituent called me and had some issues at their home.
And it was late in the day.
It was late in the day.
It's to the point where, it's after 4 o'clock, and, because that's when everything happens. When something weird happens, it's usually like right at that time.
Yeah, and so I made it a point to see what we can do to help that constituent out. And so, again, just being available, being able to communicate with individuals and making sure our constituents understand they do have a voice here.
Well, you mentioned that, how you communicate. So obviously you're on Facebook, people can reach out to you through the email, phone calls, and you kind of answer this. I mean, that example of last week of a constituent issue that you called, and then within 20 minutes, I think we already had, somebody to help en route. And so, I mean, it's one of those things where not everybody knows who to talk to at the city sometimes, and if they have that opportunity to talk to a member of council, that they know that will be there. And then it just was a quick text call to me, and then
absolutely.
There we go. And
again, I would say, if I don't have the answers or know exactly where to go, one thing I do, I contact our mayor. The mayor has been really great, right, when it comes to working with council and making sure that we have what we need to be able to provide back and get that information back to our constituents. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, it really comes to if anyone try to contact me on Facebook or send an email, it's Strickland at gmail.com, I believe, and they can contact also City Hall, and we'll be able to get in contact with me.
So that's the easy one. So now the new year is here, and there's always new projects, and some of which that are on the way. We've talked about, and others you haven't gotten to that yet. We've not gotten to the official portion of it. Other than this breakfast, is there anything specific you're looking forward to this year? Not just because you're council president, but just in general. I mean, that we've got the whole year ahead of us. It's a brand new thing of various different events, but other than the MLK breakfast.
Yeah, again, Tomato Festival is always a big deal for me. Yeah. It is always a big deal for me. Just being able to participate, being out there, being a part of the just the audience, and can't wait to see who we're going to have in. Can't wait. I just want to put that out there. But again, Reynoldsburg has changed so much in a good way. And I believe that overall we are moving in the right direction. We have a little bit of something here for everybody. Yeah. And we want Reynoldsburg to be that place where people can really live, work, and play. And so, again, that comes with this administration, making sure that that's happening. And we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to have in these new events. But like I said, Tomato Festival is one of the ones that I always look forward to. Christmas on the Town is another one. We have so many different ones, but those are the ones offhand. Juneteenth, Diwali, I've been there a few times.
Just you, me, and about 10,000 of our closest friends.
That's it. But it's one of those things where if you have never experienced that, right, a different culture, their outfits, and just being a part of that and learning from each other is so important.
Agreed. Do we have any questions from the audience yet?
We have one. Can you please mention the recent comments with the water bill? Seems like a lot of increase in bills and questions if this is a 3 or 4 month bill.
Depending on the circumstances. The cycle just ended, so this would have been approximately, let's say, a mid-December, 3 months back, October, so sometime like a September-December bill around there. So that's part of it. No increases would have been put in as far as like a city increase. And as you know, from council's point of view, those changes for this year, that the increase that Columbus has put on the city of Reynoldsburg, which we passed on with our legislation, we did not add anything to water or sewer because obviously it is a much bigger increase than what is usual. So that shouldn't have been an issue on the last one. I know that I've seen some questions about for homes that have gotten their new water meters. That's one thing. I have one as well, and I'm not eagerly, but I'm looking to see, is this something that is a different maker? What I will say is, one, if you do have an issue with it, there was actually somebody who was downstairs earlier today that had a question, and so our water department, they came out and they actually had for lack of a better term, like a mock-up of like what to do with the plumbing aspect and like where to put, if you're going to put dye into it to see if there's a leak, and this is what you do and this is what this machine does. And so they actually sat down and worked with the people. So when they're at the house, they know what the water meter looks like, they know where to look. So just the typical rules of thumb are, like, let's say tonight, go downstairs to your water meter or go out to wherever it is, write down the number that is there, and then tell everybody in your house, sleepwalkers too, don't use any water at all after a certain point in time. Then first thing in the morning when you get up, before you take a shower or anything else, go downstairs and see what that number is. If that number is different than what it was before, that means there's a leak somewhere in that house. And that's when all of a sudden you have to figure out where it is. You can also, again, you take the dye and you put it in the back of the toilet and just see if it actually goes into the toilet itself. And then if it does, then there's also a leak. It is amazing how a drip consistent, how quickly that adds up. I mean, this isn't like you don't have to have a hose running outside, especially at this point in time, but there can be things like that. But if you have concerns, if your bill is so radically different from this to the next, and assuming that there were no issues like this isn't a 2-cycle bill that's combined or something, please contact the water department, come in and talk to us, set an appointment, make a phone call, whatever it is, and we'll work with it to figure out what the issue is. That would be my best advice. That's a good question. Anything else, Fred?
Nope.
All right, so we'll have some other ones. You got some time to stick around?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, this is a new year, and so I don't usually do like New Year's resolutions, but this year I wanted to kind of do a couple of things. It's not me time by any stretch, but I have made a goal that I am going to read my goal is to read at least one book a month. I'm sure some of it will be fiction. Knowing me, it'll be something historical related or something like that. Or I'll be honest, science fiction. But that's kind of like my thing. Like, I want to take some time this month or this year to take time just to make sure I read one book a month. So if anybody got any suggestions, feel free. But I also want to do something else. It's a little bit, I'll talk as we go through. It's more of a presence at the State House from the city's perspective. A lot of things that potentially could be coming down the way from the State House that can directly impact municipalities. And sometimes the State House doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't understand, but it doesn't have the experience to understand how municipalities work, that are different from what the State House does. And so if they're going to make decisions on X, Y, and Z, I want to make sure that municipalities have that voice to say something as well. So that is kind of my goal. Do you have any? Did you do the New Year's resolution thing, or did you just give it up already?
I did not. Again, I think for me, my resolution every year is just be a better person. And sometimes, trying to make the right decisions when you're in a room by yourself, trying to make the right decisions. So again, that will always be my resolution.
Well, hopefully you don't celebrate National Quitting Day. I've heard National Quitting Day is like
what is that a new thing?
It's apparently it's like where they've done metrics where like people who join gym memberships, like they have an actual kind of like an expiration date, and I think it's January 18th-ish or something like that. Where by the time you get to that point, all that energy of new year, new me, I'm gonna go back to bed. Yeah, that type of thing.
And trust me, I'm seeing a couple of my friends on Facebook said, "Hey, I got a gym membership."
Yep.
So I'm thinking, okay, this is the resolution.
See how long that goes. It's going to be an exciting year, and I don't know if exciting is the right word for it, but Reynoldsburg City Schools is going to have a lot of things. Their next board meeting is on January 21st, but if you can't wait, tomorrow at Baldwin Road, beginning at 5:30, they are going to have a community engagement event. This is part of the strategic plan that the district is trying to put together, and this is where community members can come in and voice what they would like to see moving forward. I don't believe, because of the nature of this, I saw that this is not going to be filmed because there's going to be a lot of give and take and back and forth and things of that nature. And so when it's something like that, it becomes time consuming to make sure that the microphone is there and stuff like that. But there are going to be people there. I highly encourage you to make it to this. I know this is not going to be the only one, but hopefully you can make it there. So check that one out. As far as everything else, we've got an update. We'll have a more specific update on Wagner Road tomorrow. We have our meeting with it. Obviously, during the holidays, the road crews had shifted down. What we're going to find out is how much longer it's going to be before that bridge opens back up. We're hoping that it's going to be within the next couple of weeks. We know a lot of the concrete got placed before everybody kind of did the holiday break between Christmas and New Year. And it takes X amount of days, it takes 10 days for all that concrete to cure in the first place. So there's not a lot of work going to be going on. So if the concrete got done to the way it is, then I think the next step is actually putting the topping and everything else. So we're going to find out about that and hopefully have an update for everybody by the end of the day tomorrow. We are also working on all of our other fun things as far as our street programs. But you'll see that in council over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Legislative update. We talked about the lame duck session. That's that session of the House where after the elections in November, but before the end of the year, all sorts of different things come up. Two things that kind of came up. One is they did pass a bill that will allow for religious release instruction to school districts. That is going to be there. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. I know the governor has not signed it yet. He has until Friday. If he does not sign it, which I think he's indicated he's going to, and there's a lot of other things in that bill that I can talk about at some other time, but that's going to be something that will go into effect. What was not included was actually property taxes. There was nothing whatsoever with property tax relief. You and I had the opportunity on Monday to brave the weather and travel down to the State House and watch former Council President Meredith Lawson-Rowe get officially sworn in as our state representative here in Reynoldsburg. And the new president of the House, or the Speaker of the House, did identify a couple of things, throughout the course of that day about some of the priorities. Things that are going to be important to you who are watching is property taxes. He did mention it. I know that there is a long list of about a 50-ish number of things that are potential solutions for property tax issues in the state of Ohio. So hopefully the House will do something with that and work with the Senate. That's one of the things I'm going to be advocating for. Our senior citizens and those living on fixed incomes, their property values have gone up dramatically over the past couple of years. And because of that hurts the school district because, again, as property tax raise, that doesn't mean the schools get those additional funds. The schools are capped out at a point unless they authorize more. And senior citizens and those on fixed incomes, they can't afford it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, sometimes I believe the state is forcing seniors versus students, and that's not fair. We need to protect our seniors, but yet support our students. Specifically towards the city, there's concerns about what they want to do with the municipal income tax. That is something that keeps all mayors and managers up nightly because that's where a majority of our funding comes from. So we're going to be advocating that if any changes come along that way, that we are a part of it. And then also the pension fund that did not get passed, but we will expect to come back. And this would be pension equality for the firefighters and police officers that would impact the city's budget depending on how they have it laid out and things like that. Now, it's easy to go into the State House. You can send in your information, you can email, you can do all those different types of things. But as mayor, I have the privilege of serving on two amazing organizations. One is the Ohio Mayor's Alliance. This is made up of the 30 largest cities in the state of Ohio. And yes, Reynoldsburg is one of them. And no, we are not number 30. We're in the mid-20s. And this was for a while now. And I'm actually co-chair of their education committee. So when we talk about education-related issues, obviously I have my own viewpoints on that. But we work together to talk to members of the State House about things that could impact us. And it's a good relationship. It's a great organization to be with. It is very bipartisan. We have Republican mayors, and we have Democratic mayors. We have big cities, and we have the kind of like Reynoldsburg-ish size cities. So we will continue to advocate for that. I'm also continuing this year as the chair of the Central Ohio Mayors and Managers. You may have seen we actually had a meeting last week on Friday where they came to Reynoldsburg. We had hosted them at Reynoldsburg at the police building next door. Had a great lunch from Asmarina, the deli right across the street from us. So that was a lot of fun and great food if you've never had the chance.
Yes, I stopped in there a couple of times. Chris, we get coffee from there now, and their sandwiches. Yes,
their sandwiches are not like small sandwiches. I mean, their sandwiches were hefty sandwiches. So that was a lot of fun. But we also advocate. So we are going to be meeting with state legislators this year to, again, have those kind of conversations. Because, again, if you're a state representative or a state senator that lives close to or represents a city, you may have a better understanding. But for those representatives that don't have that option, they may not necessarily know that impacting the municipal income tax would actually impact how a city is budgeted, which means that the biggest part of any budget is our safety forces.
Right.
So that is a huge impact for us. So that's part of what I'm going to be looking for. Parks has always got some good news coming on. They kicked off a new registration process this year, so if you want to participate in any parks activities and actually pay for those activities, you can do so online, so check that out. Development news is going to come a little bit. We're kind of like on a couple of things. We're at that 1 yard line, getting ready to score a couple of touchdowns on some cool things, so hopefully we can get that taken care of. But stay tuned for that one. Any questions, comments so far?
Just one. Someone wants to know how the progress about the recycling bins is coming along. Having more recycling bins in the city.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So it depends on where. Obviously, parks are going to be easy. If you're looking for recycling bins in other locations, that's a little bit different because of getting people to empty it. So if you could message or put in the chat on there just something specific about where you're looking to have them. I know we've had requests for like some apartment complexes and things like that to have it because they typically don't have it. That's up to the apartment complexes that we're working on with them for different programs to actually include and to have that in there. But it's also a cost, and that's one of those things where, you balance it out. Is that, are they going to pass that cost on to the residents? If you're looking for like composting and things like that, we are waiting to hear back on a grant from SWACO on that one to hopefully have a location actually right by Spangler Baseball Diamond. They'll have something there that we can kind of work with. But let me know if there's somewhere more specific you're looking for. Is that it for now?
Yep.
Okay. Beyond that, I was going to talk about the Martin Luther King breakfast, but are there still tickets available?
No.
They are out. All right.
Sold out.
So if you're just learning about it now, sorry. Yeah.
And one other thing I would tell you, the team really tried to get the information out. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for putting the information. Jasmine helping put everything together. It truly takes a team to put on this event. So I truly appreciate you both for helping me. Thank you.
Yeah, and this year we got a little bit of different help from the Visitors Bureau.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. So I know they'll get more involved as the time comes. So if anybody's out there from the Visitors Bureau watching, Thank you. With that, I really don't have too much else. I did want to put a save the date out there, and I know you're aware of this. On February 19th, we're going to have the State of the City. So I am doing just like my old students used to do. I am procrastinating writing the speech, and if I start working on something, I wait for something else to go through, and I'm like, Oops, I got to do something else.
Right.
But we're getting there. We'll have it upset. Doors open at 6:30. We're going to have some different displays from our various directors, so you can learn a little bit more about maybe some of our Parks and Recs programming. Maybe you can learn about the Engage Reynoldsburg app for code enforcement purposes or things of that nature. Learn a little bit about BYOB. That's Build Your Own Business, not the other
Not
thing.
the other thing, right.
So we'll have some of those types of things out there, and then we'll have it. Obviously, we'll do a Q&A afterwards for people who have any questions. I'm always ready to answer some questions on some stuff like that. But that's February 19th right here at City Hall. The doors open at 6:30. We'll start about 7 o'clock. I'd say between 45 minutes, give or take a little bit, is usually about when I'm at all the way through. But we're looking forward to having you guys join us here. And we'll talk about how we're going to be able to... Did we broadcast it last year? I can't remember. I think we can try to, but it's just one of those things where it's just too hard to get the technology to flow together. But that means you can come out here, and then we'll have it on YouTube and stuff like that later.
Oh, it's huge.
All right. With that, next week, I'm actually kind of curious how this is going to go. I know that we've had previous Mel Clemens Community Award winners on the show in the past. And so now we actually will welcome Jen Welday. And Jen is just received the award in December. And for those of you that don't know, Jen does an amazing job being an advocate for our superhero sports programs here in Reynoldsburg. There's a lot of other stuff she does, but we're just going to talk about that for right now. I'll let her tell the other stuff. Whether it's baseball, whether it's football, basketball, all of these things are there that she has taken upon herself. And so she was nominated and unanimously chosen for this Mel Clemens Award because of what Mel Clemens meant to the city. And so we're going to talk with her about what she does and where she gets her inspiration from. And I know she's thrilled to do this. She's like, yeah, I'll do it. Yay. But it's good to recognize when people make those kind of commitments, because when you talk about community and engagement and activities, that's what she does. So I'm really looking forward to having her on. And that'll be at our regular, normally scheduled time at 12 o'clock next Wednesday. We have a lot of good guests coming up this year. We're going to bring in people from, we've got Board of Elections, we've got COSI, we've got... Oh gosh, I just completely forgot about a few other ones. We're going to have the coroner's office right for the Halloween episode, so that's going to be the fun one. He dropped the challenge last time, and he's going to be ready to dress up for it. I'm thinking as a coroner, he's going to have a lot of real inspiration for this one. So, but everybody else, I hope you had a great New Year. Go Bucks! They play this week on Friday, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We want to see if we can take that next step to go to the national championship game. Again, if you have any questions, comments, things like that, please don't hesitate to send a message to us, give us a call. And again, congratulations to you, as council president. Good shoes to fill. You're in talk about a legacy between President Jenkins, President Marion Lawson-Rowe, and now you. Wow. So, and you'll definitely add your special flair to everything. We're looking forward to it. So. Everybody else, again, Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, please put your shopping carts away, even if you don't want to. And real quick, I have to tell you this because my wife shook her head at me. So we were at Kroger, and one of the 50,000 times we went right before Snowmageddon. Yes. And so we got out of our car, and as we were going, someone who seemed to be in a very big rush took one of the smaller shopping carts, and as we were walking by, literally put the small shopping cart on like a little island thing and put it right there, right in front of me. Right. I'm like, okay, well, apparently you're not watching the show. My wife just kind of shook her head because she knew what I was going to do. I didn't say anything to her. I took the cart and I put it in the shopping, back in the car return, and that was easy. I tend to do that often, but so again, make sure you put those things away. All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.